What up, gangsters? Welcome back to another video. This time we got my son in the chair finally. As you can see, his hair has gotten long on the sides, looking a little rough. Did a pre-mohawk faux hawk for him maybe like 3 weeks to a month ago, but as always, it's time to get him right, so let's get right into it. I've started with my Andy Slimline Pros, and I'm going all the way around the head, creating that first guideline. This is going to be a pretty high skin fade. I feel with the higher skin fades on my son, they look amazing on him, and they just last longer. It gives me a little more time in between haircuts. That way I'm not having to cut his hair every single week. Next, just to clean all that hair underneath that guideline, I'm going to use my wall trimmers and just go all the way around his entire head, making sure I can get it as good as possible before I switch to my Bronze Series 9s right here and get all that hair cut down to skin. I do like to get the hair on the side cut down to at least a short stubble. Anything longer, these trimmers tend to pull on the hair, and that can hurt quite a bit. So this next stage, I'll go ahead with my Ion Extreme clippers. I threw the lever down just a little bit, and I'm going to create my second guideline, which is going to be pretty high. Remember, I said we're going to do a pretty high skin fade on here, so you can see that first guideline was pretty thick. Now I'm going to close the lever all the way, that way I can blend this out as best as I can. Whatever I wasn't able to blend down with the clippers, now I have my Andy Slimline Pros, and I'm just going to go ahead and attack that very bottom line while brushing the hair away. That way I can see how much more I need to blend, or if I need to switch it up to some different trimmers. Creating my next guideline, I'm going to be using the 1 guard attached to the clippers. After that, I'll go ahead and switch it to the 1.5 guard, and we'll pretty much start blending down from there. The very top part, the darkest part of the hair, I will attach the 2 guard and start blending from that, and anything I don't get, we'll just go ahead and scissor trim and clipper over comb later. You guys just seen, I just showed you the 1/2 guard attached. Now I'm going to go ahead and start blending in from where the number 1 guard was, and I'm just going to be closing this lever little by little, blending out that very bottom line. And as you guys can see, compared to the beginning of the video, the hair is coming out pretty good. So far in this haircut, I'm happy with how it's blending. After I've done all I can do with the 1/2 guard on that bottom line, I went ahead with no guard on and the lever all the way open, and I just started working in at that bottom line. And with that bottom line with no guard on, don't be afraid to close the lever little by little until you can get it blended out as best as you can. Right here, here's the 2 guard I told you guys I would come in with, and just start blending in at that very top line. I'm closing the lever just a little bit, about the halfway mark, and now I'm just going to down fade from here. Here's the 1 guard, and now we got that clipper over comb I told you guys I was going to do with the 1 guard attached. I feel like with the 1 guard attached, I just get that nice little blend in between. That way it doesn't cut off too much hair when I'm trying to blend it. As I'm using this blending comb, I'm kind of scooping in and pulling out towards myself, cutting any remaining hair that's left sticking outside the comb. For the meantime, I am done on that opposite end. I will do touch-up work like I always do towards the end of the cut, but we're gonna go ahead and switch to the right side and just start putting in the same work that we did on the previous side before. Now that you guys see me creating this guideline, you can probably notice that I left that back guideline pretty much untouched. I like to do that most times, that way I know how high to go, and pretty much just really helps me to keep that guideline even with the opposite end. I am ready to upgrade my trimmers from these Andy Slimline Pros. Might get those GTXs, but I use the trimmers a lot, you guys, as you can see when I'm trying to blend out these guidelines that I can't get with my normal clippers. So if you do have any recommendations on your favorite trimmers, go ahead and comment that down below, and I'll definitely look into it. I did have a little bit of trouble in the beginning getting this line, the bottom line right there, blended out as best as I could, like I did on the previous side, but don't worry you guys, I will put more work into it. Just decided to start working in on the darkest part of the hair, starting with this 1.5 guard. I know I did start off with the 1 guard previously, but I went ahead and just did this side a little bit different just because I noticed a little more bulk on this side of his head. But with that 1 guard attached, we did start with the lever open from the 1.5 guard, and now I went ahead and closed this number 1 guard just to kind of blend out that 1.5 as best as I could. As you can see, I've been using these clippers with no guard on, and I'm just slowly closing that lever, blending in at that line until I can get it blended down as best as I can. I didn't mean to transition that part so quickly, but that is the number 2 guard, and I'm just going to start blending into the darkest part of that hair, cutting down a lot of that bulk on the side. You guys can see he has a pretty bad cowlick, so we're going to start putting in some work to knock that down. Here's me showing the number 2 guard again. I just went ahead and lowered it just a little bit to knock down quite a bit of that bulk. And when I'm holding these clippers, I'm making sure that my wrist and hands are just nice and loose, and as you can see, I'm doing like a flicking out motion. In my opinion, this is the best way when you're cutting the hair. That way you're not digging in the scalp too hard, probably causing your clients a little bit of extra pain. In between this cut, I have been stopping here and there to either clean the blade out with my clipper brush and to also make sure that these are maintaining some good oil in them. I feel like if you've been cutting for at least 30 minutes consecutively with one pair of clippers, that it may be time just to oil them just a little bit, not too excessive, just to keep that friction pretty low. That top part of his hair is blending out pretty nicely with the blending comb. I did do the clipper over comb, and now you see me with the thinning shears. Just wanted to get that corner piece blended out as best as I can. And I believe this is the 1 guard now, just blending right into that. Gonna end up switching to the 1/2 guard and probably no guard again, just because I'm down fading once again. It's crazy though, if y'all only knew like the amount of work that I put into like every cut. I mean, any barber, the amount of work that's put into a cut, the process, I mean, sometimes it takes forever, sometimes it takes a long time, but I mean, we get it done, we get to it, stay consistent, being very patient throughout the cut. Focusing on detail and not trying to rush it should give you the best possible cut. Now I'm back on this side just to do a little bit of detail work. With my Bronze Series 9, you can see that line pretty harsh under there. I'm just going to go in a flicking motion and attack that bottom line just to get it blended out as best as I can. I'm doing this because my Andy Slimline Pros did not blend it out as best as they could. And now with these clippers, no guard, I'm going to be attacking that darker line, lowering the lever little by little until that line is blended out as best as I can get it. With my very sharp Andy T outliners, I'm going to go ahead and start from the middle and work my way to the outside on each end to give my son the best lineup I can, player. I did switch to my Andy Slimline Pros just because the blade is a little smaller and easier to get onto certain spots on his head. but I'm just gonna go ahead and brush it down and continue to line up any extra hair I see. Here I obviously have the scissors, and I'm just going all the way across his hair, getting all those baby hairs that I'm not able to reach with my trimmers. Still with the scissors in hand, I'm gonna go all the way across the top of his head and get all these baby hairs that are sticking up. Anything that I'm not able to get with it, I'm gonna switch to my clippers with, I believe, the 1.5 guard on, and I'm just going in this direction. You see here, I'm going with the grain, getting all those baby hairs and staticky looking hairs cut down as short as I can get them. Applying that Tomb 45 shave gel to both corners of his head and the center, that way I can go across with a clean straight razor blade and just make this lineup pop. Get it all cleaned up, clean up all that extra hair that's sitting there, remembering to stretch the skin as we don't want to cut him. I know y'all seen this Ghetto 1 glove I've been wearing the whole video. I needed this in an emergency because if you ever got a hair splinter, it does not feel good. And I said I do not want to get this with this boy's hair. They be flying everywhere. But getting this boy right, going very carefully with the Andy Slimline Pros to get all them extra hairs that just would not get knocked down. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I was very nervous at that part, but I maintained a steady hand and I didn't cut into that boy's hair. Johnny B on the top, just to get that hair laying flat. Gonna brush it a little bit. I will clean up the lineup if needed, but as you guys can see, that's the end of the cut. Here's the end. Hope you guys liked it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with every haircut I do. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what you guys think. See you guys in the next video. Peace.